Hello, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classics vs. Non-Classic. This is episode number 598 and Doubleshot 502 DC Trades. First up is this one, Justice League America, Volume 1, Tornado's Path, where it's basically taking place right after 1 year after Infinite Crisis. We got a relaunch from JLA to this book. We got a new lineup, which is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. The only three of these are the only reason why they're there because DC higher ups really want them on the team, and you can't have just like with these three people on it. Hal Jordan. In the case of Hal Jordan, it's probably Jeff Johns' idea for him being there. Black Canary, Red Tornado, Vixen, Red Arrow, who is really Roy Harper, Black Lightning, and Kendra. As for why these characters are here, Kendra, it was probably a suggestion on the part of Jeff Johns. As for the other five people, well, I think in the case of Black Canary, probably Bad Meltzer, probably one of the, I've heard Bad Meltzer did want to put on the team, and she's actually lead of this roster for up until Cry for Justice. In the case of the other four people, I think because he really wanted to put these four people on the team. I haven't taken a close look exactly why he added the other four people. And yeah, Meltzer is the writer, and Ed Baines, fantastic artist. And I've got to show this off because this picture is shown frequently when it comes to the Justice League. Not that picture. It is. I know I saw it in here. No. Here we go. Yeah. This very picture. Whenever any video shows anything related to the Justice League, yeah, this is the very picture people show. Yeah, this is a variant cover for issue 1. Yep. Now, who's in this picture aside from the lineup who have become part of the Justice League? We have Guy Gardner, Batwoman, Firehawk, Nightwing, Kyle Rayner, Metamorpho, Phantom Stranger, Huntress, Supergirl, DC's Captain Marvel, Power Girl, Captain Atom, John Stewart, Our Man, Mr. Miracle, Mr. Terrific, Grant Morrison's Guardian, Jaime Reyes, Hawkman, Mr. Big Barda, the Kent V. Nelson Dr. Fate, Donna Troy, Martian Manhunter, Jason Rush, who is at this point the Firestorm, the female Dr. Light, Green Arrow, I'll talk about him in a minute, Zatanna, and I don't remember who this guy is here in the corner. Yeah, the picture kind of cuts off there. In the case of, well, the one on the left, you can easily tell by looking at the picture it's supposed to be Batwoman. Yeah, it's supposed to be Batwoman. In the case of this character, I don't know who this could be. It could be Tarantula. Yeah, it could be the male Tarantula. I don't really know. I can't really tell. Now, what's the story for this one? Okay, 1 year later, and the Justice League wants to reform, so they recruit these people to become part of the team. Hal Jordan is an obvious one, and they recruit, of course, Black Canary. Now, the most surprising addition was Roy Harper, because a lot of people probably in the universe now, Green Arrow, okay, form Justice League in, I'll grab my boat. And Hal's like, nope, we're not here for you, we're actually here for Roy. He's like, okay, fine. And he's actually very proud of the fact Roy became Red Arrow. Yeah, he actually been Arsenal at this point, so the Arsenal costume he had at this point, he got rid of it and started wearing his Red Arrow costume, which, yeah, if you look at his costume he's wearing, yeah, that was actually the costume he was wearing up until the Flash reboot, and he's still wearing it. Yeah, he is still wearing this costume. The only changes they made to it is they gave him a trucker hat and they gave him tattoos. Yeah, but he hasn't really changed the outfit. Those of you who watched the Black Lightning TV show, like, okay, hey, I recognize that costume. That was the first costume in one TV show. Yeah, showed up years before that. The Kendra Saunders Hawk Girl, who appeared, she's a creation of James Robertson. My guess is Melton must have enjoyed JSA, so he probably really wanted her in the Justice League. And the other reason I can think of is because she was on Justice League Unlimited. Yeah, because she was in the Justice League TV show, she probably really wanted her on the roster. Black Canary because, well, she's a popular character. Though, if you're 6 years later, she basically become played by Katie Cassidy. But Vixen was a bit of a surprise. Yeah, Vixen, my guess is they probably wanted more female members on the team, though she's actually one of the very few black superheroes. The black superheroes in the DC universe. Fun fact, creation of Jerry Conway. Now, who created Red Tornado? I think it was Denny O'Neil. Yeah, it's one of his very few DC creations he ever did. Black Lightning was created by Tony Isabella, and Trevor Freeman, who also created with Conway Count Vertigo. And the whole story with this is that Red Tornado supposedly died, comes back in an organic body, though he's briefly possessed by Star for some reason. There's also a throw-in here of Solomon Grundy for a couple issues for no reason. Yeah, it's a mixed match of a story, but it's an interesting story about the return of Red Tornado. Yeah. And they also mentioned stuff with the Superman robot. And here's kind of thing with that. That actually happened 3 years prior to this. So why in the world would Brad Meltzer reference something that was done by Judd Winnick? Yeah, I have no idea why in the world he referenced that Judd Winnick thing. There's even a guest star appearance in here by Geo-Force of The Outsiders. My personal guess is they're probably teasing the reformation of The Outsiders under Chuck Dixon. That's probably the reason why he's here. Yeah, that's the only reason I can think of. Probably also because this is before the Chuck Dixon revamp. This lineup, as far as I know, would last up until Final Crisis, when this version of the group would be kind of semi-disbanded, though they did join more people later on. And one thing I do enjoy reading this, it's like they do. Brad Meltzer knows his comic history really well, and he references, he throws little Easter eggs here and there. I can't exactly point them up. You have to read the story in order to figure out. I just kind of wish DC would give a second printing for this particular volume. Like, do what they do with Green Arrow, The Flash, like a lot of their books. I kind of wish Justice League got that treatment, because I would figure, though, Justice League in the movies, and they've been on TV before, and of course you have Justice League Action, and otherwise, though, it's a really good book. I give the book a 9.5 out of 10. Awesome book. Great character development for Red Tornado. It's kind of like that was supposed to be for a Red Tornado series, but it was probably reworked to be a Justice League title. Though Red Tornado did have a mini-series a couple years after that. Excuse me. Next up is the Trinity of Sin. The Wages of Sin. Written by James Demanius. Artwork by Yavo Gadant. I think that's the only artist on here. Yeah, that's the only artist on here. The cover art is done by Gillian March and Tabby Mori. Yeah, he also does the actual series covers. I own the eventual issues of this trade, so I kind of know I'm getting to. Now, the Trinity of Sin is comprised of Pandora, the woman who in universe up until DC Rebirth was responsible for the current continuity, the Phantom Stranger, and a supernatural version of the Question. Let me get this out of the way about the Question. This guy had no this guy made no sense at all to revamp him as a supernatural-based character. I mean, what was wrong with the Steve Ditko version? Seriously? I mean, yes, they did have a Vic Sage later on, but he was not Vic Sage. It was some guy who had just assumed the name. Yeah, they have various forces in here. It's a fun little series. Now, this was something that really kind of bothered me about when this series ended. The series ended abruptly, and the team just disbanded. Yeah, they pretty much teased this group in February Blight, and then they finally gave them a series after, well, Phantom Strangers and Pandora's series both got canned. His series ended after 22 issues. Her ended after 14. I do have the trade, so I will do a future review of it. And I do like this series. I really do. Nothing really wrong with it. It just too bad the book got canned after only 6 issues. They canceled us pretty much the same time they canceled Arkham Manor. And as far as I know, this series ended roughly 3 years ago, and I'm still curious. why did DC axe this series? In the case of Trinity of Sin Pandora, when they had Trinity of Sin Pandora and Trinity of Sin Stranger, I think the end of those, I know the end of those two series make room for this. If it was ended due to low sales, I don't really know. In the case of the Demodius, what he did after this, as far as I know, he's done, well, he did do Justice League 3000 and 3001, and he did co-write, he's also the co-writer of Scooby Apocalypse, and he was the co-writer of Blue Beetle before Keith Giffen left. Now, somebody might ask the question, after the series ended, what happened to three characters? The question pretty much disappeared, and this version of the question was never heard from again. Pandora disappeared for an entire year. She didn't show up again until 1 year later, where she was killed off in DC Rebirth by Dr. Manhattan. As the Phantom Stranger, he popped up once after this series ended, popping up in the Swamp Thing miniseries done by his creator, Leen Wein, on his second miniseries he was doing, though he was planning to do a third before he passed away. Fun little series, gotta love it, and I'm actually, now, despite the fact she's kind of a hated character for some people who actually like the pre-Flashpoint stuff, and I don't mind the pre-Flashpoint stuff, I think it's really good, but as for the person she's very she's got pretty much a negative reaction due to her basically being indirectly responsible for the creation of the current universe, though was later baby Dr. Manhattan. But I've got to admit this, Pandora is a smoking hot woman. I mean, look at her. She's smoking hot. Heck, there is a panel in here of her wearing, aside from this purple cloak that she's frequently known for wearing. Yeah, she wears something different for like one panel. Actually, it was like 2 panels and bam. Yeah, here she is. Wearing something different aside from her outfit. Yep. Now, I don't have a problem with the character Pandora. As a matter of fact, I really enjoyed her series. I'll get more thoughts on when I get a chance to review the actual series. But I kind of thought this character had potential. It's just kind of sad though. This character, DC just didn't do much with her. I mean, first they had her basically appearing at the end of Flashpoint in Flashpoint 5, and then she appeared in cameos in like every single first issue of the first wave of titles. And then she was doing the same thing for the second wave of titles, except for Earth 2, which is in a different universe. And then, like, right after that, she popped up for issue 12 of Justice League, where she just revealed who she actually is. That was also the first appearance of the Phantom Stranger. And then after that, she didn't appear again until Trinity War, which he started that particular thing. And then, of course, popped up in Fury of Blight. And then she had, stuff for later series, briefly without any taglines. And then she did this series, and then once the series ended, it's like, what else are we going to do with this character? If you look at her series, almost her entire series, except for the last 5 issues, are tie-ins to crossovers. Yeah. But in the case of this series, it's kind of like, finally, we give a series for the Trinity of Sin, a group that DC tried to, give a push for a while, and yet nobody cared about this particular group at all. I personally have a problem with the group at all being a group of cursed characters. I mean, Pandora and Phantom Stranger are fine because they're supernatural-based characters. The question really makes no sense at all. It probably would have made more sense if it was a different character aside from the question. The only reason why I think DC chose the question is because he's a big name character. Though he's not exactly like one of the big A-list ones. He's more like a B-lister, I'd say. But he's not very known outside the comics. But as for the reasoning for picking him as the third member of the Trinity of Sin, I honestly have no idea. Now, I'm sure Steve Ditko, if he found out about this, he'd be upset that DC transformed his really awesome character into a character who's an immortal and supernatural base, which really makes no sense at all, though there's elements to the Steve Ditko character version where he's living in Hub City. Though Dr. 13 is not like the way he usually is, where he is not DC's biggest skeptic, He's an old friend of the Phantom Stranger who kind of knew him for years. Heck, he even dies at the start of the series. And then Phantom Stranger just takes out a sword and stabs him and just resurrects him. Oh yeah, and also there's a version of Doctor 13 in as a backup feature for All Star Western. I'm not kidding. If you look it up, he did have a feature. And like those are two complete different characters. It was kind of confirmed by DC that Doc 13 was actually the ancestor of this one. Yeah. Overall, it was a really good series. I just kind of wish DC would give these characters. I kind of wish people give these characters more of a chance because it's a great concept of a supernatural version of the Trinity. Well, they kind of like, okay, we couldn't get these three to succeed as DC's supernatural Trinity, so let's try something else. Let's try Deadman, Zatanna, and John Constantine. For no reason. Despite the fact that Kyrie had one for this continuity, it was these three characters. But I kind of wish they do more with these characters. Yes, because it's kind of basically shown at the end of the series, the group just disbands. And the question just turns to a question mark. Yeah. It's like Phantom Stranger just resurrects Doctor 13 after, like, toward the end of the series and just does whatever after that. The question just turns into a question mark, and that's the last to see of him. And he's never seen again. It's kind of like, okay, you end the series, then what's the whole point of it? Now, I have never heard DC confirm this was a mini-series. I thought it was an ongoing series. Yeah, I heard it was supposedly an ongoing series, but then DC just axed the book after only 6 issues for just no reason. Yeah, this is one of those mini books DC just axed for just absolutely no reason in 2015. This one got like Midnight, Justice League Dark, though thank God they're bringing it back. But yeah, this title had no reason to end. Arkham Manor, I have heard the reasoning for the ending of that title was because Gary Douglas signed an exclusive contract to Marvel. As of Jan Amadeus, he still works for DC as far as I know. He hasn't gone back to Marvel in years. But what rating do I give this one? I give this one a 9.5 out of 10. It's a fun little series. Just kind of wish I kind of wish people give this series a little more love than what it deserved. Alright, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for next episode, which is going to be on a JSA trade. And some other trade, I don't know what it's going to be. It's in my backpack. Next episode will be episode 599 and Doubleshot number 503. Yes, 2 episodes away by episode 600. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to review for 600, okay? But until I see you in the next episode, bye.